I want to explain why I'm still holding Toshi, even though nothing I say is financial advice. 2 cents, that's still on my mind. But before I get into that, I first want to explain how, when it comes to Toshi being on the base network, something that really fascinates me is the statistics of the base network, and I think it's really going to play into why I'm still holding Toshi later on in the video. But here's the thing. The base network currently, if we take a look at just base overall, right? The assets on platform is around 12 billion currently, and that's around $12 billion, very impressive. And the total transactions so far over 2.6 billion. We take a look at the block time, around 200 milliseconds, and the median fee is allegedly less than a penny, or should I say less than 1 cent. So that's very impressive in my perspective. Now, why does this even matter? Because sometimes you like to say, okay, these statistics, who cares about that? Well, you got to think about this. Something allegedly with around $12 billion of assets on the platform, being able to facilitate, if we take a look at total transactions, over 2.6 billion. With all that taken into consideration, what is a top 3 project, I think, on base, arguably, in terms of popularity? I think Toshi, which I think is really fascinating to see. I mean, think about this, right? Something that's done that well, something that has pretty decent popularity, and then Toshi is currently top 3 within there in terms of popularity. Think about this. Toshi's a meme coin. It's not like it has tremendous capabilities in terms of the use case. Yeah, sure, there's Toshi Mart, which is basically meme coin launchpad, but we've seen like Bonk Fun kind of have that aspect, right? If we take a look at Bonk, it's a very popular Solana-based meme coin. And then we take a look at the aspects of Bonk Fun. So this is really nothing that groundbreaking or that revolutionary, but then, in my opinion, still, despite being a meme coin, we see something like this again being top 3 in terms of popularity on base. And even though I don't think Toshi Mart is that groundbreaking in terms of its revolutionary features, I think this could really play into the narrative of Toshi, especially when there's an altcoin season. Because imagine if people want to launch meme coins on the base network, maybe Toshi Mart could hypothetically be an option. Who knows? This is just my perspective. But who knows? Maybe, right? So what I like about Toshi is that it is actually done very well considering the kind of achievements that the base network has been able to achieve, and then even still, despite that, a meme coin like this is top 3 in terms of popularity within there. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, what are the 2 other projects? Now, surprisingly, I think another popular project that's top 3 in terms of the base network, in terms of, again, that kind of notoriety, I would say it's Brett. Now, Brett is another, again, meme coin. But then Toshi's kind of more popular than that as of right now, in my perspective. And then we take a look at Aerodrome, which is a decentralized exchange. But then if we take a look at Aerodrome, it doesn't have that kind of unique and cool factor that Toshi has. Now, Aerodrome has the practicality, it has the use case, it has the fundamentals, but in terms of the cool factors of the unique nature, I would say that it does go into the favor of something like Toshi. And don't get me wrong, I still believe in Aerodrome, I still also believe in Brett, for instance, but I think Toshi has really been gaining that kind of momentum as of late, despite the price, having a pullback. But we have to consider it's holding up pretty strong compared to some other projects out there which haven't been holding that good whatsoever. And also, when I take a look at something like Brett, it hasn't really been doing, I think, as good as something like Toshi in terms of the momentum of popularity as of late. Now, that could be said with a bunch of other projects too, because the altcoin space isn't necessarily doing the best, but then at the same time, to kind of see Toshi somewhat overtake Brett in terms of popularity, that would be kind of unheard of, not too long ago, right? That would be like, whoa, what is that all about? But then as of right now, I think that kind of is the case in my perspective. Now, when I take a look at 2 cents, keep in mind, just because there is this pullback right now, that right there is around a 27x from here. It doesn't mean it will do that, but if it did, it wouldn't surprise me. And here's the thing. If, let's say, Shiba Inu from right now, right, try to do over a 20x in the next 5 months, I don't know if it could do that, right? Let alone something like Dogecoin, which market cap is pretty massive. I mean, how can that do over a 20x in the next 5 months? This is just my, kind of mentality. And if I take a look at 2 cents, market cap at that point would be around 8.5 billion. That is not a groundbreaking figure. It's not a figure that we've never seen a meme coin reach before. Actually, we saw even Shiba Inu reach around $40 billion in terms of market cap. And that was years ago, back in 2021, at a time with supposedly far less crypto owners than right now. At the peak of that bull run, we saw around 300 million crypto owners. Right now, we have over 600 million, and we haven't even seen an altcoin season, I think, arguably. And still, Shiba Inu was able to do that back then. Let alone Dogecoin, which reached over 80 billion back in 2021 in terms of market cap. So this figure is nothing necessarily that groundbreaking in my opinion, like around 8.5 billion. It's nothing too ridiculous maybe in my perspective. However, some people may argue, okay, but back then there was way less competitors than right now. Totally aware of that. But the thing is, if we just take a look at the meme coin space overall, yeah, sure, there's more competitors, but what are the compelling options in my perspective? Like, which ones are actually having that sort of amazing community, amazing popularity, kind of having, be a viable alternative maybe to something like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu? I don't think there's that many. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there is a lot of meme coins, but in terms of the viable options, I don't think there's necessarily that much in my perspective. Like, again, there's a bunch popping up when it comes to meme coins, but then which are the ones that really have that solid foundation? I don't think that many that are new popped up with the ones that are actually fundamentally sound in my perspective in the category of a meme coin. So I think, yes, there's more competitors right now, but we have to take a look at the quality, right? We have to take a look at the quality of the projects that we have right now. It's not like there's such a big drastic increase in terms of the quality. There's a big drastic increase in terms of the competitors in general, but then in terms of the quality ones, I don't think there's that many. So I still think that Toshi isn't necessarily kind of, gonna maybe be forgotten about during an altcoin season, but who knows? Only time will tell, but I just don't have that mindset. Now, if I take a look at the idea of, again, 2 cents, the reason why it's still on my mind as well is that I just kind of like the direction in which the base network is heading. Now, the base network, as we all probably know, it is Coinbase's layer 2. Coinbase is very massive. And also on top of that, Coinbase is in the S&P 500, by the way, and it's even publicly listed. So when they have a layer 2, that I think, gives it a lot more kind of, I guess, a cool factor. And we have to think about this. The base network doesn't have its own native token, which I actually think plays into the advantage of the base network, because if it had a native token, maybe there would be a lot more kind of a sentiment change where it can just be gauged and evaluated based on the price chart and all this type of stuff, the market cap. But then because it doesn't have that, it's kind of difficult to measure it sometimes, right? Because we can just take a look at the statistics and that's it. We can't really take a look at the price because there is no base token in terms of the native token of the base network. And if I take a look at, again, the statistics, it does look good. But then we take a look at some of Optimism, which actually, funnily enough, is another layer 2 that helped build the base network. But even besides that point, we can take a look at the statistics of Optimism, which looks really good. But then if we take a look at Op, which is its native governance token, it's not looking that good. So then the sentiment is kind of more amplified despite the good statistics. But then when it comes to the base network, because it doesn't have a native token, it's kind of hard to have this amplified feeling of, oh, the project is doing bad, even though it actually isn't statistically. But then if there was the price, it could very well look like that, especially considering how altcoins are not doing the best. You know what I mean? So at the same time, I think the base network not having its native token kind of benefits it in the grand scheme of things. And also on top of that, I think it benefits something like Toshi because the attention isn't diverted. You know what I mean? For instance, if we take a look at Optimism, there is a decentralized exchange on there, which is called Velodrome. And then funnily enough, Aerodrome, which is a decentralized exchange on the base network, like I mentioned before, it's actually a fork of Velodrome. But besides that, Velodrome, just because it is on Optimism, I think if someone, let's say, believes in Optimism, and maybe they believe in Velodrome as well, sometimes the attention might be diverted. But because the base network doesn't have, quote unquote, the base token, so to speak, it makes it not that easy to divert the attention because there is no base token. So I think that right there is a pretty unique thing when it comes to Toshi. But even besides all that, when is there going to be an altcoin season exactly? I do not have the answer to that because even if I pulled up a price chart, I drew a random triangle, I still won't be able to know when exactly there's going to be an altcoin season because the market's not going to care about what I have to do on a price chart. So whenever there's an altcoin season, I just want to know that I am prepared. That's it. So maybe I go along with the ride. Who knows? It's like just by holding, waiting, and that's it. If I'm just holding and let's say there's an altcoin season, it's kind of like going along with the ride. But when will that ride happen, if it ever even does? that's beyond my control. But what I'm going to do is just prepare as much as I possibly can and just stay patient, and that's about it. But in the meantime, I am still holding Toshi because when I take a look at the performance of the base network, it makes it very difficult for me to give up on it. Like, it's almost easier for me to still believe in it than give up on it. But yeah, that's just my perspective. I'm not telling you to do anything. And again, nothing I say is financial advice. I'm just staying patient, holding, and just waiting. And that's pretty much about it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.